Hello and welcome to Quilt Addicts Anonymous. I'm Stephanie Sebbing. Today we're going to talk about my 2025 crafting goals. And yes, I know it is at the end of January, but I kind of was looking at my calendar and I realized that my children have not been in school for a full week's time, Monday through Friday, since the week before Thanksgiving. So that's 2 months where it's either been ballet nutcracker or illness or holidays or weather where I have not had my full 5 days of work. And it has been really hard to get in front of the camera when they're here because they are at that age where they need a lot of mom and they also, get on each other's nerves when they've been around each other for too long. So I'm sure all you other mothers can relate. So here we are. Here are my 2025 resolutions for crafting. I want to know what yours are too. Put them in the comments below. So make sure you let me know. Maybe there's some good ones. Maybe we can share yours in a future video. My first one is to mindfully sew and craft just for the pure enjoyment of doing it and have it be less deadline based. Basically, my entire quilting career has been deadline based because I either needed to get something out quickly so we could sell a fabric line, or Stashing with Stephanie was always done really quickly when we used to have a shop and a subscription club, or I was working on a book. And I'm honestly not doing very good on this resolution because I have a project right now that I'm doing for Northcott that also needs to be done really quickly. So right now I've not done so well on that. But I really want to get back to spending time down here in my sewing space because it's something that relaxes me and helps bring me joy as opposed to I have to get this done. So that's my goal for 2025 is to just do it for the enjoyment of the process and not really worry about completing anything or having a specific deadline to get something done by. My second resolution is to continue some of the other crafts that I learned over 2024 to sort of find my way back to my love of sewing after everything kind of crashed and burned with Quilt Addicts Anonymous as a quilt shop. I taught myself embroidery, cross stitch, and crochet as a way to kind of branch out and do some of the things that I always wanted to do but never had time to do when I was running a large business. And I don't want to give those up. I still want to make sure that I'm sewing. That's definitely my first love is quilting and sewing. But I want to make sure I'm doing that as well. And one of the big things that I need to do is do some Amigurumi crochet kits. I am a big collector of buying these kits. Anytime I see one I think my kids will enjoy, I buy it. And I don't know how to do it. I taught myself to crochet over the last year with a little help from my sister who's very good at it. And I did dishcloths. I'm working on a temperature blanket. But what I really need to do is actually complete one of these Amigurumi kits because I feel bad having bought all of them and not know how to actually do them. So that leads me to the sponsor of today's video, Skillshare. Skillshare is one of the largest online learning communities for creatives, and they have thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, and of course, crafting. Skillshare can help you build your career skills. Like me, I could work on editing and lighting to make my videos better, but you also can take your passions and hobbies to the next level. I found a great class that walks you through everything you need to know to make the Amigurumi stuffed animals, so that is top on my list to take. That way I can learn how to do my own kits that I have purchased and would like to make for my kids. I've also saved some classes in lighting because I'm still not in love with the way that the lighting is looking in my new studio space in my basement, as well as some cinematographic editing techniques that you can use in your editing because I'm going on a quilting cruise this year and teaching on that, and I would like to make some really cool vlogs for you guys while I'm there, and I think those tips and tricks will be really helpful with that. Skillshare right now is focusing on creativity as a practice, so using your creative skills to help with your health and wellness, so that ties back into my first resolution of the year to be more mindful about the way that I do quilting as opposed to just trying to do everything on a deadline. The first 500 people to use the link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial to Skillshare, so make sure you check it out and join today. My third resolution is to get back to packing my go bag. And if you guys have never had a go bag or don't know what I'm talking about, it will change the way you're able to be productive in your crafts when you're on the go. Because we all have moments of time when we're either mindlessly scrolling our phone while we're waiting for this, that, or the other thing. And you could be doing something enjoyable and working on your next project. So for me, that usually has been knitting, because I find that really easy to just throw in a bag and I can stop wherever. I like things that I'm going in the round and I don't have to think too hard about. I've knitted many sweaters over the course of sitting around and waiting for my kids to get done with a project, but I've gotten away from packing the go bag and have done a lot more of scrolling on the phone. And some examples of projects that are really easy to transport are English paper piecing. Embroidery is another really good one. You can put the needle minder right on the work, cross stitches the same way. So those are great techniques where if you can just pack it and have a go bag ready to go and you've got everything you need to do with your next project, then you can be productive while you're sitting and waiting for whatever it is to happen. All right, this one's a little bit of a stretch for my fourth resolution, and that's to get in shape. And it is quilting related because I am teaching on a quilting cruise to Alaska. It's very exciting, but I'm the only teacher on the cruise. And so it's very different than the one I did last year where there were multiple instructors and we had days off in between. This one, like if you've ever taught or had to be like on for a while, it's a very physically and mentally exhausting thing, and I love it. It's great getting to spend time with you guys, but when you're trying to like walk the room constantly to make sure that everybody knows what they're doing and is doing well and isn't running into any issues, and just being the most excitable version of yourself for 3 to 6 hours a day while you're in class, plus then later at dinner, while I will also be attempting to keep my 4 or 5-year-old at the time, she'll be 5 by then, under control and get her to try something other than chicken nuggets. Hopefully she'll eat something other than chicken nuggets for the whole week that we're on our cruise. But it's just a lot. And I want to be able to be fully present and really excited for everyone that chooses to come on the cruise and spend that time with me and learn a fun project. And I also want to be fully present for my kids and my husband, who are also going to be on that cruise. So I've started walking. Mostly, I've been doing protein shakes because apparently when you get to be around the 40 mark, the biggest way to lose weight is just getting a lot of protein. So I do protein shakes and that usually fills me up for the day, and it's been working. It's not been perfect. I had some great success right away, and then, it's sort of leveled off for a little bit as I've gotten busy with the kids being back in school. But my goal is to not let that drop off. And no matter what progress I make, no matter how slow it is, to just be continual progress. My fifth and final resolution for being crafty is to get my sewing space organized. I spent a good month when I moved into my basement sewing space. We had created it from scratch in order for it to be half playroom, half workspace for me. And I tend to work on one project at a time. And that doesn't mean that I work on it from start to finish, but I have a system where I have bins that I put things in. So that way, if I'm going to put something up for a little while and work on it later, I can put all the materials in the bins and they can go on a designated shelf. And then my sewing space stays nice and neat. And then last year I was working on a quilting book, which comes out later this year, but it was working on 12 projects all kind of at the same time, and things kind of blew up and got out of control, and a lot of other things ended up in the sewing space that didn't belong in the sewing space, and it just is too much. So I've already started going through and making sense of things. Part of that process included purging some fabric that I no longer am in love with, and that was very freeing. I found good homes for it. It's going to go to people who are going to use it, and it's going to be put to good use. So it's not like I spent good money for it and ended up in a landfill. It's going to other quilters. But it definitely is something that I felt like I needed to do, because then I could put the fabrics that I'm in love with now on the shelf. And then when I look up there, I just see potential projects as opposed to things that it's like, gosh, that's pretty, but I don't see myself using it anymore. It just isn't is me. And so that has been really helpful. I've got my sewing studio at the moment to the point where I can cut a quilt and I can on my cutting area, and I can sew a quilt here, and I can easily work on my long arm. So those are the three things that are really super important to me that will help me be productive in this space, because when I look out, it's not a giant to-do list everywhere, because it's really hard for me to work when I just see, oh, well, this needs to be done and that needs to be done. I have a really hard time focusing in that environment. I still have to tackle the crazy mess that is under the long arm, and I need to find some underneath long arm storage to go under there. So that's going to be a later video as I go through. I've been documenting how I've worked on getting this space in a way that is functional and also tidy, and hopefully in a way that it can remain tidy. So that's my goal, and we will see how it goes. Well, those are my 2025 creative and sewing resolutions. I would love to hear what your creative sewing resolutions are for 2025. Are you doing a no-buy fabric challenge? And if so, have you already broken it? Because I know that that's really hard to do. But leave a message in the comment below on what you are working on. And maybe you've been inspired by some of these to get some new projects on that to-do list, and maybe sew a little bit more mindfully, create that go bag so you can put your goodies in it, that kind of thing. Don't forget to show today's sponsor, Skillshare, some love. Remember, the first 500 people to click on the link in the video description below will get a free 1-month membership to Skillshare. All right, until next time, happy quilting.